Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rumors of Heresy. My name is Zareth, and today we've got a match against Custodes using our Salamanders Gladius list, the new Lions of the Emperor detachment for Custodes. This is round 3 of the Rocky Mountain Open. And it's gonna get hectic, folks. So Rocky Mountain Open is a 250 player grand tournament in the Denver area. It's the biggest in the area. It's huge. It might even be described by some generations as huge, though I would advise you not use that, because why would you? So let's talk about lists here, folks. Hold on, let me fix my face. Don't act like you're not jealous that I can fix my face that quickly, and you can't. So here's the list that I'm using, folks. We're using, it's not just green generic Marines, folks. We're using Adrax, we're using Vulkan. They're actually Salamanders here. And the idea of this list is just a ton of skirmishing units that can actually pack a punch, and they collectively do a lot of damage and can be very responsive to a lot of different threats that are presented from the meta. We're facing Custodes, and I don't have a lot of experience against them, honestly, folks, and so this is the first time I've faced the Lions of the Emperor. I think this is the third time total that I've played against Custodes at all, and so if I get some of these things wrong, I apologize, but basically they're a bunch of 3 wound people with a lot of characters in them, and they just go around and chop things up, but there's not a high model count. It's always like, oh wow, you brought like 12 people to this fight. That is impressive that you even can win any games, and then they end up doing way better than you think they can, because the stats actually matter. So the one thing about this detachment I thought is really interesting, and you want to notice this as we're going through the report, is that he wants to keep, you're incentivized to keep your models, like your units, 6 inches away from any other Custodes unit, which isn't, I mean, if you have to choose an army to do that with, this is probably the one, because they just don't have that many units. But when they do that, they get, I think it's +1 to hit and +1 to wound for the unit. So it gets, the math gets pretty nice, actually. I wasn't sure what to expect with this. I had to, because of the big uproar from the more DACA detachment in the Orc Codex, this one came out at the same time, and all the noise from the Orc stuff has kind of just stolen my attention, and I hadn't even looked at all at this one. So, because Custodes aren't that interesting to me in the first place as an army that I want to play or something. So, anyways, I'm not sure what to expect, but let's jump into it right after this. Have you ever found yourself loving the game Warhammer 40k, but maybe loving the time you spend with a paintbrush a little less, or maybe a lot less? You wish that you had really nice looking models, but you know it costs way too much to pay someone to do it. Well, I found myself in that situation basically forever. I used to paint my models a long time ago, and then suddenly my life got super busy, and now I just use Frog and Bear Studio exclusively. They do such a good job on my models. I don't really know why I would look elsewhere. He charges a very competitive price. He does a great job, and folks, I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you, I get complimented on how nice of an army I have all the time. Several times every tournament, and of course I just kick it back to him. I'm not going to take credit for it personally, but guys, this is an amazing studio and you should check it out. And right now the proprietor of Frog and Bears is running a deal which is really good price comparative to other commission painting services. He's offering to paint any monster or vehicle out there for $50. Go look at the high quality level of any studio painting place and find a place that's going to charge you $50 for a monster or vehicle. You just won't find it, folks. Maybe you'll find it for a really low level quality thing, but guys, This is high level stuff. It is amazing. And for this entire spring, this deal is open. $50 on any or all monsters and vehicles, guys. Do yourself a favor. He does a fantastic job. Tell him Xerath sent you, please. Go follow him on Instagram or just hit him up on Discord. You can find his information in either the video description, or you can actually see the things listed on this graphic as well. Guys, do yourself a favor. Seriously, go check him out. Okay, so we're playing Burden of Trust in Search and Destroy. So Search and Destroy, this is the third game of the day that we're playing, and all three games were Search and Destroy, which is table quarters. So you can see everyone's just smashed into one table quarter each, and that's fine, I suppose. But the Burden of Trust is a really strange mission where you try to guard your own objective. In the command phase, you can guard the objective, and when you do that, then you get 2 extra points. Otherwise, the objectives are each worth 4, and your home objective is worth 0. So you have to have a unit actively guarding it. It's not like an action to do it or something, but you do have to have a unit on there. So anyways, we've got our usual thing, folks. You've seen a lot of reports from this list, and whereas things will be changing after this tournament, this list is done really well so far. Only lost 1 game total, even in practice. And so we're just kind of a bunch of skirmishers. As usual, we've got a bunch of things in reserves. 10 jump pack intercessors are deep striking, and the Storm Speeder Hammer Strike is also deep striking, and then 5 Infernus Marines are in reserves, and as well as a Predator and a Ballistus Dreadnought. And my opponent placed most of his stuff. He had one of his squad of custodian guards, and one of the squads, folks, is a 4-man, and the rest of them are 5-man, I think. I have trouble keeping track of these things, guys. So if I'm a little vague about the unit sizes, that's because I don't know. I'm kind of dumb. So Venatari and custodian guards are deep striking. Apparently they're like demons. All of the Custodes can deep strike, which is cool and something I didn't know before this match. So the Alaris custodians are really interesting here, folks. Apparently they can just split into a squad, into separate squads. Like you take 3 of them, and maybe you could take more. I don't know, but one way or another, you can spend 1 CP at the start of the game and shatter them into 3 separate mini squads, and they just kind of run like little characters with axes running around, little baby axe murderers. It's great. It's so cool. So anyways, the idea here, folks, you can see after the scout move and everything, we've got scouts and incursors that are that they're just in this building trying to keep it so that he can't actually charge me, and staying an inch away. And of course he could charge me from the side or something, but it would take a bigger roll to get there. So just trying to skirmish and keep him away from this, and whatever happens with the objective, just trying to keep our options open. This army doesn't play a ton in the center. Like it can, and a lot of times a lot of the different objectives for secondaries require you to jump onto that center objective, and so we need to keep those options open. But otherwise, I don't like to be in the center, folks. The center is not a place that this list is that comfortable playing in. An end game, sure, but it like toward the start of the game, we don't really want to interact with that. So just trying to keep it fortressed up, keep it so that my opponent can't jump onto the objective, so that we can just jump on and contest it or whatever, and just slowly strangle the life out of him in other parts of the game. The other thing I should note here, folks, is we finally won the roll in terms of we're going second in this match. We're finally going second, which is a pretty unfamiliar thing, honestly, for this army. So he's going first. He gets recover assets and secure no man's land. Secure no man's land is a nice one to start with, except he doesn't have that much skirmishing, and he doesn't. The only thing that he's really in range to get onto that center objective with, because remember, secure no man's land is you have to jump onto 2 different objectives and control them that are not in your deployment zone, and so he has to get onto his expansion, and he has to get onto the center. Usually that's what you want to do. And so what he ended up doing was not going onto the center, folks. I took a picture for this round, actually, for this turn, and it turned out so blurry that I couldn't even tell what it was supposed to be. I mean, I could, because it was literally the one in between all the other 40k pictures, but the picture was so blurry, I didn't want to hurt your head by even adding it, and so we'll just talk about what happened. Essentially, he rolled really high for his squads to be able to get onto this objective, or for Adraxis to get onto this squad, or onto this objective, so that's cool, congratulations. I could never roll that high for Vulkan to be able to get onto these objectives, so I don't know if he was measuring things differently than I do, or I'm just measuring things poorly. I mean, one way or another, we're probably measuring things differently. But anyways, then he decided not to go with his Warden squad onto the center objective, which is probably wise. I still have a ton of shooting that I could do, and like probably kill that whole squad even on turn 1 if he got onto the objective. And even if he did get on the objective, probably could at least contest it. So trying to get this objective with the Wardens, it's probably not wise. Now remember, Wardens are the squad that are really good. Like, all of his other stuff is good, but the Wardens are probably the best version of what they do. So anyways, the squad instead just kind of tucked into the center here, which I think was pretty wise. These 3 guys, he did spend a CP to split them into smaller groups, and one of them decided to just cross in over the center line to recover assets, and one of them decided to go harass the scouts, which he couldn't really do because the scouts were all 1 inch away from the building, and we did have to call a judge about this, which I think is the best way to handle any of the stuff. And the judge did end up ruling in my favor on this, and to my opponent's credit, he handled it just perfectly. Like, okay, well, that's fine. He didn't expect it to be. He thought he could charge the scouts and have his model like be on the building for some reason. He called it like the tipsy model. I don't remember. It sounded like something that maybe was from a previous edition or something. Sometimes we get these things confused a little bit. So one way or another, he only got 2 for secure no man's land because he only controlled 1 objective marker in no man's land, and then he was working on recover assets. So on my own turn. Hold on, where are my secondaries? Wait a minute. Oh, that's right. I got the exact same secondaries as him. First time I've ever seen that, where we both get the exact same ones. Recover assets and secure no man's land. So, he's playing KG, which is nice, actually. I prefer that. I think it's risky to not play KG against me. Frankly, a lot of times, like, my playstyle tends to be very wait and react to what people do, and so I don't think it's a bad choice to be KG, but in this case, I'm really happy that he's playing KG, because his guys are kind of slow and he's not getting onto objectives, and I would just prefer to wait all the way to turn 5, and because I have turn 5 and it's Burden of Trust, I can just go get on objectives on the final turn and guard them right at the last minute to get a pretty nice score on the final turn. And so every minute that he's not pressuring me and pushing me back and maybe making me use up resources that I can use at the end of the game, it is a good time. Like, I just want him to sit in his in his box and not do anything, and then we can be tied the whole game, and then I'll go in and get a bunch of points at the end and win, is the idea. So we want to do that. Now, he also made a small mistake by he's recovering assets in no man's land, and that's fine, but it makes it so that I can just see his guy. Like, he's not a lone op, he's not stealthed, I mean, he's Custodes, so he's tough to kill, but we can, if we kill that one guy who's recovering assets, then he'll have to keep recover assets for his next turn, and so we need to do that. That seems like a good idea. And otherwise, let's just sit here and wait for a while. I feel like if he wants to wait, let's wait with him. That seems good. All right, so recover assets, secure no man's land, and we have scouts and stuff, so we can secure that center objective pretty easily. And recover assets, I mean, we can do that too. So, you know, we've got this guy, and I actually meant to have him start on this objective, and my opponent recognized that, and he was fine with him because you want him to start guarding this objective right away, right? If you can. And so, anyways, just want to acknowledge that this character was supposed to be on here guarding it from the start, because you start guarding it during your command phase. Anyways. Let's see. So he's got his his wardens right here. We're not gonna mess with them. He's got one guy right here, like it just in the center of this little terrain piece, and he's recovering assets. So we've got some stuff that can shoot him from afar, and that's great. And really that's all we want to do. He also has one guy that was like over here trying to charge and wasn't able to charge the scouts. So. Because he tried to charge this guy, he's just wide open, so we can just kill those two guys. And then he's got one other of these weird guys that I think he went back into the back, like in his deployment zone. And otherwise, he's not really doing anything right now. He's just like fortressed up. He's in all the buildings. He's, you know, his Gladius tank is just hanging out there, and I don't want to do anything to like piss him off. I would rather him just sit there and not feel threatened at all and wait to strike. So anyways, I didn't put the arrow or the X where it should be. It should be just a little bit over here. So I apologize for that. But I did manage to shoot him, I think, with the Predator that was there, maybe a ballistus. Who even knows, guys? It was a surprise to everyone. No, so I killed the guy, which makes it so he can't score recover assets, and he has to keep it, which is, gosh, that's the scariest thing about recover assets. And sabotage is making it so that you know, your opponent can interrupt it, and you really don't want that. So anyways, in a shocking twist, I threw a grenade and I shot some other stuff at this guy, and he survived on one. The grenade that I threw two grenades, I think, this whole game, and both of them only rolled a single 4+, which that's mortal wounds on the guy. Like, he wouldn't have been able to save against him at all. And so yeah, the scouts did a couple of wounds, but otherwise, I thought about charging with the scouts to try to finish this guy off, and decided against it because even though the scouts had an okay chance to kill him, like it'd probably be like a 50-50 chance, I decided instead I'd rather just force him to use resources to get through the scouts so that he could get into the incursors there. So anyways, you can also see for secure no man's land, this guy's on the point. This guy's on the point as well. I'm just towing out. I really don't want to piss him off, but we're just getting our secure no man's land, and then we'll be back about our business in a little bit. So before you know it, sir. And that was it. I ended up scoring 3 for recover assets. He wasn't going to be able to get to me in the back there. Secure no man's land is pretty automatic, and so we're off to an early-ish lead. Though, of course, he's able to score 6 right away on his primary, so it's tied 8-8. He's got to keep recover assets, and then he has his other one that can be interrupted sabotage, and that was actually kind of nice, because he really wanted to score these 2, and I didn't want to stop him. If he wanted to just sit there and score, that's wonderful. So he ended up with the Drakkis team sabotaging back here. He ended up with the Wardens doing recover assets in no man's land, and I mean, I think those are pretty safe things. And otherwise, he didn't do that much. You'll see, I think we have a better screenshot of a picture of what this dude is doing, the axe guy. Essentially, the Gladius had a line of sight to the scouts, shot the scouts dead, which is tragic and totally unforeseen. And then the axe murderer guy was able to charge me because I wasn't careful enough. Apparently, I thought I was over an inch away from the wall, but I wasn't, and he charged and messed up a lot of the incursors. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So the really important thing before any of that happened was I did rapid ingress my jump intercessors, just so that, I mean, he can't see them here. And this is pretty deep into, I mean, it's not his zone precisely, but this is his expansion objective. And I mean, the goal here, of course, is just to go and contest it and tie up as many guys as we can, because jump intercessors are going to just get squashed flat, smashed flat by Custodes. There's no question that they can, like, maybe put up a fight. Like, no, of course not, but they can out OC someone on an objective sometimes. Yeah, okay, so here's the axe dude. It doesn't even look like he has axe. I thought he said that he was equipped with one, though. So oh yeah, this is the picture. This is before, and this is after. So all those scouts are dead because the Gladius shot him, and then he managed to charge the incursors. The incursors tried to use their haywire mine here, folks, because you can start at the start of any phase, as long as you're within 3 inches, you can try to get it off. And I rolled a 1, which meant that the haywire mine didn't go off and the mortal didn't kill him. And then in turn, this guy killed like 4 of the incursors. So that was tragic, folks. Simply tragic. But for the most part, not much aggression here at all. He didn't even bring in his reserves. He just kind of sat there and did objectives and killed some scouts and incursors, which I totally approve of. That sounds wonderful. So otherwise, that's it, folks. That's all she wrote. He did score the recover assets. I wasn't gonna even try to pretend like I was gonna get them, and he did score sabotage, which I'll show you why in just a minute. So I got extend battle lines, which is automatic and amazing, and then no priz, which, I mean, he's turtled up enough that no priz is actually kind of tough to get for me. So anyways, the goal here, and my opponent was a little surprised by this. So he's got the Adrax Squad here, and if I charge them and keep them engaged, then he has to throw away his sabotage, right? Which is, I mean, not throw away, like he has to keep it and not score it, just like we did for recover assets. But the thing is, I thought that there was too much of a chance that my jump intercessors jump in and just get slaughtered to a man. Like, all of them just die because Custodes are ballers. And so instead, we just want to get on this objective and make it so we can't score 6 next turn, like steal 6 primary points, and then force him to come out and deal with these guys. That's what we want to do here, folks. That's the only thing we want to do. And then extend battle lines. That's it. And then no priz. Like there's this guy back here with 1 wound. Let's take him out, score a little bit there, and we're just waiting, guys. We're racing to get to turn 3, or to turn 3, also to turn 5. So that's what we're gonna do. I basically already said all the things I was going to about this turn, folks, but I did make the graphic, so let's use it. And so the hapless jump pack intercessor is gonna just go jump out of that objective and then die horrific deaths. However, the Custodes want to take them out. They can sit on them and squash them into jelly, or they can you know, whatever the various trolls were trying to do to the dwarves in the Hobbit. That's basically what's going to happen to the jump back intercessors, but only this time there's no Gandalf to save them, which is fine. Gandalf's fine with that. He's like, yeah, all those dwarves contested the trolls' objective for a turn. That's what we needed from them. Congratulations. And just hold steady, guys. Wait for turn 5 if possible. Alright, so extend battle lines, no prisoners. Here's what it looked like beforehand. Here's what it looked like after. Really nothing too crazy at all. You can see the 2 incursors are off of the objective because I don't want him to come and try to get storm hostile objective or overwhelming force while they're on the objective. I mean, he can get it on this objective, of course, but we're preventing him from scoring 6 points here. So I mean, that's huge. That's a really big deal, especially since we have second turn. Like, this almost just I wouldn't say it seals the deal by any stretch, but this is a huge move. Just getting the jump intercessors onto here to contest. That's all we need. Like, he stopped scoring for a turn. 6 points is a lot of points in Burden of Trust when you're going first turn. So that was it. We killed the one guy here. I don't even remember what we used. We probably, oh yeah, that's right. We threw another grenade. And we only rolled 1 out of 6 again, but this time it didn't matter because he only had 1 wound left. So that was great. That was the best, potentially. Or maybe we didn't do it that time. Who knows, guys? I'm sure the tank had line of sight as well. Oh, I also brought in some reserves this turn. You can see we've got the ballistas and the speeder, and this is just so that we have some tools to be able to go in and mess with the side or the center objective, because he's clearly staging. He's got this squad up here of guardians, or whatever they're called, guards. Here, they're guards, aren't we? Yeah, they're guards. Bonus points for anyone who recognizes that that quote, but a movie reference. But the wardens are also like, he's clearly looking at the center objective hungrily, and so. Even though he's going to take a turn to clear this zone, or to clear this objective, we need other things to be able to either threaten the side objective. And I also want him to feel threatened over here, so that he stays in his hole. I just want him to be defensive right now, guys. I don't want him to be aggressive. Then that's really the goal here, is to keep him from being aggressive and getting into the center. But if he does, we want to have the things that we need to be able to take him out. You'll note that the Blade Guard Impulsor's right here to threaten the center as well. We've got another ballistas here. We've got all kinds of stuff ready in case he decides to make a run at us. So he scores. Hold on, do we not show the score? What's going on with my slides today? You know, I remember making the slide, but one way or another, we did score a couple things there, and he wasn't able to score. He scored 2 on his primary, is all he got this turn. So he's got assassination and no prisoners, which assassination is kind of tough to get for me. No prisoners, he'll probably get a decent score here. So of course, he's going to be able to kill the incursors, he's going to be able to kill the jump intercessors, and then like a third one is going to be kind of a stretch, but I think maybe this is the other one I didn't take a photo of, folks. So the wardens, they're the ones who are really tough to kill, because they have a once per game 4-up feel no pain for their whole unit during one phase, and so when we're trying to kill them, it's just so tough to do. They come out of here. They also have once per game charge, or advanced in charge. So they come up here and they fall short. First off, yeah. So I decided not to make 10 little X's. I just made 3 huge ones to show all those jump back intercessors just got totally demolished. And then I think the Gladius is the one who picked up the incursors. The Gladius was doing some good work here, actually. So congratulations to it. And then otherwise, the big part of this, folks, was he wanted to go in and get rid of some of my vehicles here, some of the things that would threaten the center. Because if he can kill, like, this whole flank of vehicles, not only can he threaten my home objective, which the home objective is really not worth that much. It's worth 2 per turn. But you know, you can kind of shoot down into that. And then, but it also ruins my ability to mess with the center. So then he can just march his happy hindquarters onto the middle, and I don't have nearly as much stuff to mess with him. So, I mean, not a bad plan. The problem is, folks, you can see the arrows. They didn't do a great job, but of conveying this. He failed his charge on the speeder, and I don't know if he had a CP or if he just failed his CP reroll, one way or another. He did not make the charge on the speeder, which was a pretty big deal and a very huge... The momentum was already, I think, arguably in my favor anyways, just because we're on the wait for all the things kind of plan, but this was huge because I just have his wardens are out in the open and nothing else is. Like, it's just going to be open season to take them out. So unfortunately, I didn't get a picture of that, but I did get a screenshot of cleanse and engage on all fronts, which are the 2 things that I can do this turn. Cleanse, of course, is going to make me get onto that middle objective one more time. Engage on all fronts is getting into the each of the table quarters, which I can pretty easily do, I think, at least with a couple of my units. Oh, yeah. So we're gonna we have to bring in our reserves, the rest of our reserves, which we don't have much, I don't think. I think really the only thing I really have is, yeah, I even have a tank on already. So I think all I have are my Infernus, which they're gonna go here as close as they can so that they can get engaged on all fronts. And then I decided I would just charge the Gladius because he didn't really have any like heroic intervention squads available, and it would be kind of nice just to tie up the Gladius and get engaged on all fronts for the max. So that's kind of the idea, at least. And so the Infernus Marines here just go on to the objective to cleanse. You can see the dice over here. I don't think we zoom in or show any of the fight at all on any of the slides, but the Infernus Marines charge the Gladius tank, and of course they're not going to do damage, but they're just sticking him there, just making him stay there, and they're getting engaged on all fronts for us. The speeder here is getting engaged on all fronts as well, and then I think the biggest part by far, of course, yeah, so you can see there's a few different things. The biggest thing we'll talk about in just a minute, but he does have his rapid ingress, both of his remaining squads, and they're just right there. They're ready and waiting. And the Venatari, these guys are the little flying dudes, they're able to do rapid ingress even after someone else is already rapid ingressed, because it's on their data sheet. And so he suddenly got a ton of squads. He's got Guardians, or whatever they're called. He's got more of those guys. He's got Venatari. He's got the Drakkis squad, and they're all just lugging at the center there. So the big thing, though, of course, was I was able to use all my considerable firepower to kill all of the wardens. All of them died, every single one of them. And I'm trying to remember, he has one character, folks, that with an enhancement that makes it so that if he rolls a 1, he doesn't come back. But otherwise, that character comes all the way back to full health at the end of the phase, or at the start of the next phase after he was killed. And so, of course, he rolled a 1 and wasn't able to come back. I don't remember if it was the Warden Blade Champion or if it was one of the other characters that later we kill. No spoilers, folks. So we ended up getting 4 for cleanse, 4 on engage on all fronts, and of course we've been scoring a consistent 8, and he only scored 2 this turn, which was a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal for us. So going into turn 4, he gets containment, which is really nice for most armies, but his army is going to struggle with it because containment requires an action from a squad that you can't really afford to use on this. And then storm hostile objective, of course, he can steal that center because we've got a stupid single Infernus guy on there. And so that's basically what he does. He sends in one of his Guardian squads and wipes out the hapless Infernus there. And so he storms the hostile objective. The Venatari charged the speeder, and I think we zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, so these guys just take the center, kind of. They're kind of just sticking out, which is a little bit sad for them. Now the Venatari only do like 2 damage to the speeder. I think I rolled. It was a combination of him rolling really poorly and me rolling decently well on my saves, because I think it's only AP2 his hits, so I just made a bunch of 5-ups, and the speeder was just like, oh, cool. Yeah, you can't do much to me. And I think these guys ended up just containing. I think that's what they ended up doing, because he needed someone to contain. And that was it, guys. So he charged the speeder, can't kill it. Charged the Furnace Marines, which Furnace Marines are mostly fine. I think he did charge with the Axe Dude, his final Axe Dude, and kill the Infernus that were tying up the Gladius. But at that point, I mean, we've screened him to the point where he doesn't have any reserves left anyways, right? So we're doing okay. On my turn, we get Area Denial, bring it down. Cool. Cool. I mean, bring it down, we can't really get that at all this turn, but Area Denial, that's something we can definitely do. We just have to kill all of these guys. And so, he's got a character and 4 dudes. I think the character ends up being able to do a lot of damage, but one way or another, we wipe out the squad. I think Adrax dies here, actually. I think he did some heroic thing, challenge, and killed Adrax, which was kind of impressive, frankly, but we did kill him at the end of the day, and the whole squad, I mean, we just didn't wait enough shooting to just shoot that squad down, and then the Blade Guard finished him up, and then the other shooting was able to kill the Venatari as well, so that was also really cool. I don't know if I used a doctrine the entire game, actually, folks. I don't know if I did. Maybe tactical doctrine this turn, just so that the speeder could fall back and shoot charge if he wanted to. One way or another, the Venatari are gone. Everything's gone. Everything's good to go. Oh yeah, here's a zoomed in picture of some X's where the Venatari were presumed to have been, and here are all of the dudes, all the Slemos who were in my zone. So yeah, we scored 5 for Area Denial. I had to throw away, oh yeah, Marked for Death. I re-rolled Marked for Death and to bring it down, of course, worthless on all counts. He scored Containment and Storm Hostile. He's starting to score 8 every time again, which is fine, as long as I'm continuing to score 8, which he's putting no pressure on my expansion objective, so we should be good. He gets Cleanse and Defend Stronghold, so he can go into the center and cleanse, I guess, if he really wants to. And I mean, so I get Established Locust, Defend Stronghold, and so I just score the little one on Establish, Defend Stronghold. He gets Defend and Cleanse, and that's basically it. I score that 14 at the end because we can do that, and he can't really stop me that much. And final score after painting. Being fully painted, it was 81-60. Not a particularly close game, though my opponent did end up going 4-2. I think this game he probably was a little too passive here. Let's talk about that, actually. So I think he played a little too cagey, a little bit too close to his chest. Like he wanted to play passively and not just like jump in the middle, which I can respect that, and I think I punish him pretty bad for that, frankly. I think if he just unga bungas, as people say, whatever he sends out, I kill most of. And so I think he sensed that and didn't want to do that, and I think that's good instincts. I don't know. I don't know, folks. Like, I just don't know Custodes that well. It seems like I just wasn't that pressured this game, and that's not shade on my opponent at all. I'm just, as far as evaluation goes, though, we got to be honest, and I just didn't feel threatened at all. Like, he kept just sending one squad out, and I'd just kill that squad, and then he'd send another squad out, and yeah, he'd do some damage, but there was all stuff I was fine with losing. I was like, yeah, sure, like, please do kill that squad, so now you're out in the open, and now we can kill your, like, really expensive squad in exchange for a 90-point squad of Infernus or something. And so, for the most part, his passivity was pretty bad. I just don't know. He probably needs to construct a list a little differently to be able to skirmish better or something, because without putting pressure on me, it just wasn't. I was able to just score when I wanted to. I could interrupt his scoring one turn on his primary for his expansion objective, and I mean, as long as we had similar secondaries, I was going to have a huge advantage going second. So, anyways, the skirmishing and screening worked well here. This is a skill that I think that this is like the most advanced kind of skill that you can get, and I'm not saying I'm like the perfect example of it. I'm still trying to get better at skirmishing and the screening stuff, like trying to make sure he can't come in certain places. Like, if you go back and watch, you'll see that there are huge amounts of the board that he just can't deep strike into. He just can't get into there because I'm screening the whole time, and you know, so that's helpful, right? Like, it's nice to have it so that he can only land in his own area, and then like, why did you even put him in reserves in that case, kind of thing. Yeah, and the Custodes just didn't have enough models to screen me out, really, which I think that's a common issue with that list. I'm not saying that they're bad as an army, but I do think that that's like one thing that they do struggle with. So, so he ended up going 4-2 for the tournament. He played really well. This game kind of doesn't make him look like he played that well, and I think he was in a really tough position because I just have a ton of stuff that he doesn't trade well into. Like, just all of my offense was just, it was kind of overwhelming in a way, and that's not me bragging. It's just, you know, evaluating again. Like, I don't know what he could have done better, frankly. You know, that's not me talking myself up. What could he have done? Not sure, guys. But obviously it didn't really pan out for him this time. You know, probably what ended up happening was he decided not to be passive in the next few games and just took a chunk out of his opponents. I mean, I think this is the final game he lost. I think he won all 3 of his games the next day. So, anyways, good match to my opponent. I feel like I'm talking too much crap about him. I'm not trying to. I just, you know, I was able to execute the things I needed to win this game, and you know, I think a huge part of it was he sat back a little too long. So, anyways, enough about that, folks. What's the next event? Probably going to Albuquerque to play in an event called the Sandia Slaughter. I'm thinking I might take Ultramarines, guys. We'll talk about that more later, but we still have 3 more reports to do for Rocky Mountain Open. So, guys, if you like this video, please thumbs up and all of that stuff, please. I would really appreciate that. You know, go check out the Frog and Bear Studios again. Like, they're amazing. You can see the paint job that I have is amazing. I didn't do any of it. I painted Vulkan on this. On this list, and that you couldn't even see him because he was hiding the whole time. So, guys, I'm calling it. We're done. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that if you didn't hear it from me, it's probably heresy. Next up, a really strong Chaos Knights player. We'll see you later, folks.